Meta recently announced Llama 2, which is a successor of Llama commercially without really worrying about the licensing stuff, right? So it was trained on 40% more data than Llama 1 and has double the context length. So the best model in Llama 1 was the 65 billion parameter model, but in Llama 2 it's the 70 billion parameter model. If you look at the benchmarks across the open source models available today, Llama 2 performs the best across these different type of parameters. Now obviously one of their biggest partners today are Microsoft, AWS, etc. And they are currently promoting the safe use of the model itself. Now I got excited to see how the model works, the 70 billion parameter. So I went on to the Hugging Face demo and I tried out the 70 billion parameter, comparing it with the OpenAI's GPT-4 model and not 3. Right, so this is where you can actually play around with the 70 billion chatbot, and simultaneously I kind of opened the GPT-4 model and I told it to kind of put together a very high level scoring for each of the outputs generated for 5 prompts that are put in each of the models per se, right? So the initial prompt was, so let's just go to the scoring, right? So you're the judge, here's the assignment by 2 students. So student 1 across this is going to be Llama and student 2 is going to be the OpenAI's model. So in the initial case, when I told it to rate on the scale of 1 to 10, you can see this was the initial question was to generate the future of open source AI models. And this is the output that was generated by Llama 2. Again, it's just a very basic essay that talks about the benefits of open sourcing AI models. And you can see the student 1 Llama 2 did 8.5 compared to 9 by OpenAI, and the score itself was generated by GPT-4. And this is not bad for an open source model. I went on to do a puzzle later on where I asked it to generate, I asked it to solve a puzzle where a cabbage, a goat and lion need to get them, and you need to get them across a river. This is like a typical puzzle problem. Now the output here is you never left the lion and the goat alone. It was able to solve the problem, right? Similarly, GPT-4 was also able to solve the problem, but for some reason student 1 was rated 6, which is this. So you look at the puzzle itself, you can see the puzzle is wrong because the idea is to not leave the goat and the cabbage together. But if you look here, take the cabbage across the river and leave it on the other side with the goat, which wasn't the idea behind the puzzle. While GPT-4 did a fine job solving the puzzle itself and the output was okay, and naturally it rated 6 and 10 to each of these. Third question was to explain the plot of Cinderella in a sentence. This was generated by Llama and it was generated by GPT-4. And broadly, both the plots or both the summaries look pretty much the same. Then I went ahead and I wanted to see how you can use it for day-to-day work-related uses. So I told it to write a cold email to Yash from explainx.ai about the new Llama 2 open source model and word limit to be 210. Now on the demo page, you have a very hard limit of the output you can get. So you can see the email might have got cut out a bit here. So this is not a complete email. But this was generated by Llama, and I'm shocked because it kind of used emojis, which is something that you'd see in the early models of GPT-4, right? Early release of GPT-4 per se. So it's very good when it comes to the output being generated. Looks very natural sounding too. If you look at the email generated by GPT-4, it's good, but it's way more professional in that way. Obviously, we can fine tune and tell it to add emojis and stuff, but from the open source cold email standpoint, I personally think I like this one better because of it kind of caught the eye per se, right? Scoring wise, it was given 7 because obviously the email was incomplete, but I'm pretty sure if the email was complete, it would have done a great job or it would have gotten a better score. Now, can you explain to me briefly what is Python programming language? This was done by Llama. It kind of explained it in a very summarized format. While if you look at the output of GPT-4, it's kind of, it's kind of longer in that way, but again, it's not too bad because it's kind of divided into different paragraphs. Again, it was rated 8.5 and 9. Now, if you look at the overall summary of these scores, you can see this 8.5 out of 9, and then 9, 6 and 10, 8 and 8.5, 7 and 9, 8.5 and 9. Pretty much for all the questions it gave out, or pretty much for all the questions where it was able to complete its sentence, it received a similar score comparative to what GPT-4 offers right now, except for the puzzle itself where I agree it didn't do a great job. But for the other questions, it did a pretty fair job. And this, like the fact that you can actually commercialize a model like this for your own use case by training it, it's a huge thing. right? And I'm pretty excited for the future of open source models themselves. And feel free to kind of play around with the model to figure out if it's able to solve your specific use cases. But the fact that it's free, it's a huge news for open source community, and I'm so excited to try and build things with this model. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Thank you so much and have a good one.